Hello, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm Isabel Nolan. I'm the Director of Programs at Startup Canada, and you're very welcome to our third Startup Canada Equal Size webinar of 2025, Strategic Networking, Building Purposeful Connections for Growth. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the land on which I'm on today is located on the unceded and traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. It's also known as Vancouver. And as we're a national organization, I'd also like to acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of all Indigenous peoples. And I encourage you to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional territory that you're residing on today. Today's session is being recorded and we'll add it to our YouTube channel afterwards as a living resource. And we welcome you all to connect with each other in the chat. Make sure you are sending your messages to everyone in the room. It does default to just send to the hosts and panelists. So just make sure you adjust that setting in your chat box. A little bit about Startup Canada, if you're not familiar with us. We're a national nonprofit that's the gateway to Canada's entrepreneurial ecosystem. We're here to connect entrepreneurs like yourselves with support, community, and tools that you need to build a successful business in Canada. And Startup Canada and Pizza Hut have excitedly joined forces to empower entrepreneurs by providing access to funding, educational webinars like this, and business resources to help break down those systemic barriers. And with the belief that everyone deserves an equal opportunity to succeed, the Startup Canada Equal Size program offers pitch competitions, educational support, and tailored business tools to help these entrepreneurs grow and scale their ventures. Before we get started, I would love to introduce Hannah White, who is the head of people at Pizza Hut Canada, to say a few words about our partnership. Hannah, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good morning. So happy to have you all here for our session. We love doing these to help spread knowledge to all of our entrepreneurs. You oftentimes as entrepreneurs don't necessarily have the resources or investment to really get into learning and development opportunities. So this is just something we're so passionate to be able to bring to you. A great session on networking as well, which is so core to needs of entrepreneurs. We really invest in this program because as a business ourselves, as Pizza Hut, every single one of our restaurants is owned and operated by an entrepreneur, a franchisee. So that's really inspired our Equal Slice program. A lot of people ask us, why is Pizza Hut in the space of entrepreneurs are partnering with Startup Canada? And that's really our why. Is every day at the business or at our center, we're supporting our franchisees to help run their Pizza Hut restaurants. And we wanted to extend that to our communities too by offering support through Startup Canada programming. So we're so thankful for them. This is our first year partnering with Startup and so many great events that we've ran together. A shameless plug, if I will, to our virtual pitch competition that's happening on October 7th. I think we might be maxing out applications, but an opportunity for you to join our virtual pitch competition, which you can find on Startup Canada's website, as well as our upcoming startup tour, which is on October 21st. Am I getting that right? Time is moving so fast, but join us. We have free tickets and you can find our code on our LinkedIn page, or reach out to me directly via LinkedIn if you want any info from me. But just thank you so much for taking the time to join us and looking forward to today's session.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you so much for being here and providing more context around our partnership. And yeah, we're so excited to have you as our partner for this program. So I see some really great noise in the chat already. People are introducing themselves, and some of our speakers have also put in their information. So keep it up, keep connecting with each other. So today's webinar, as I mentioned, all around strategic networking. So really about mastering the art of networking and how to build meaningful connections that can propel your business. So we're really going to be focusing on developing effective networking strategies, maximizing your participation when you go to, events like this, or most importantly, the in-person events, and leveraging your unique strengths to create valuable partnerships. We've prepared some questions for our panelists. However, if you do have a question, we'd love to hear from you. So you'll be able to see the Q&A box in the bottom function bar of your screen. So please enter your questions there, and I'll moderate those questions to our speakers. So speaking of our speakers, I'm very pleased to introduce them to you. So we have Lindsay Johnson, who is the founder of the Radical Connector, and Tia Upshaw, who is the founder and CEO of Black Women in Excellence slash just serial entrepreneur in general. So welcome, Lindsay and Tia. Thank you so much for being here.
Excited to be here. Networking is my
Early.
favorite topic. Let's get into it.
Amazing. Thank you. Loving the energy. So our both of our speakers have put together some presentations to give you a sense of who they are, what they do, and their view on how they approach networking and how they've empowered themselves to speak on this and to be such experts in it. So Lindsay, I'm going to pass it over to you first to kick us off. Floor is yours.
Absolutely. Yes. And friends, I don't have any slides today. I think that we are all just kind of done with slides. We see a million slides a day. So I thought we would just talk. I'd love to see your comments, your thoughts, your feedback in the chat. And we can get into it throughout the session here today. So first of all, hello, I am Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector. I just realized also, Isabel, I have my notes in front of me, so I can't see you. So if you need to interrupt me, please interrupt me.
No problem.
But yeah, networking is my jam. And if for those of you who have been around a while, you know, this is what I'm all about. It's about the connections, right? The connections we're building in our business. In fact, when I first started my company, like in 2013, it was called the Networking Boutique. And I really wanted to help entrepreneurs understand how to grow faster and easier through the power of networking. Guess what? They didn't care. I had to switch into talking about sales because that's what they really wanted to talk about. But hint, networking is still the number one sales activity I'm always going to teach new entrepreneurs. So I want to start off with a quick little story about how it took somebody yelling at me on the Toronto subway for me to realize that I never wanted to go to this specific networking event again. And this is going to lean into why we need to reframe what networking is. So the event I was attending was a Lean In Canada event in Toronto. They're fabulous events, but I'm sitting in the subway and I can feel in my body this and you have to understand, I love networking, but I can feel this tension, this anxiety. I'm filled with self-doubt. I've got these weird thoughts going through my head. I'm so tense and I'm really in my head and I'm getting off the subway and I'm going to, go to this event. And there's a random person yells out, "Hey, you look gorgeous." And it snapped me out of this funk to go, "Oh, look great. I'm a confident person. I know what I'm doing. Why am I filled with so much imposter syndrome and self-doubt right now?" And it hit me because I'm going to an event that is primarily geared towards corporate professionals. I am not a corporate professional, never have been, could never be. And it really reminded me of that. Hey, the people that I want to meet are everywhere. And just because there's a networking event that sounds good on paper, if I'm feeling this level of anxiety and dread going to it, and I'm going to have to really mask and pretend to be someone I'm not to fit in here, that's a good sign I don't have to go. And I really want to start off today with sort of setting the tone of the people you want to meet are everywhere. And networking is not about forcing yourself to do things that feel uncomfortable or icky. And I don't mean coming out of your comfort zone. We all got to come out of our comfort zones, right? But you don't have to do things and put yourself into situations where you don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you fit in. These aren't the people that you want to be building relationships. You're not even having a good time. You don't have to go. So a couple of things I want to talk about when it comes to the actual strategy and impact of networking. So the first one really is around this idea of networking is just turning strangers into friends and nurturing those friendships over time. That's it. It's not about what can I get out of it? What's in it for me? Where can I get a sale? Where can I make something happen? It's just turning strangers into friends and seeing where those friendships go, putting in the effort to nurture those relationships, right? It reminds me of this time I went to the forum's Odlum Brown pitch. If anyone out here is in Vancouver, Toronto, you'll be familiar with this pitch where you're pitching to get prize money, to get investors, to get partnerships, whatever. And I don't have a business that neither invests in companies or investors are interested in. And so when I would go to this thing and I would talk to people, once they realized I was not of use to them, they would just look right past me. and find someone else to talk to. Has anyone ever experienced that before? It's so awkward. It's also kind of rude. Let me give you a quick little tip. If you're networking and you are with somebody and you're realizing, I don't really want to talk to this person anymore, don't just leave them high and dry. Don't ignore them. Talk, ask a couple of questions, start a conversation, look over, make eye contact with someone, invite them into the circle, get the conversation started, and graciously leave. Okay. But don't ever just leave people. But when we think about this idea of networking, just turning strangers into friends, if you're in a room and you do realize, okay, I am kind of struggling to make some connections here. It seems that what I'm saying is falling flat. Maybe not everyone here is for me. I promise you, there's always someone in the room who wants to connect with you. So I really want you to go, okay, if I were looking for somebody that would be a potential friend to explore a professional friendship with, look around this room, or even if it's an online situation or in an online community, who here is speaking to me? Who here is really grabbing my attention, right? Who here is standing out? Maybe who here also feels like a misfit if you feel like a misfit, because that does happen. Go talk to them, go explore. I'm always attracting and finding the misfits, and we always end up having the best friendships, relationships, collaborations, referral partnerships, right? That come out of it. So if we can get out of the, I have to find a client, I have to make something happen, and just look around at who is drawing me in, you're going to have a better time and you're going to be finding people who are better suited to you. One last thing that I want to quickly talk about is this idea of your core values and how that plays a role in networking. Some of the core values that you'll find within me and the Radical Connector space is radical self-acceptance, right? Not getting trapped in someone else's box, but really unleashing who we are. Rejecting the status quo and doing it our own way. There's no one right way to show up in the world or show up in our businesses, and we can do it our way. Treating everyone with dignity and respect, getting curious, getting to know people, right? Creating space, giving people the space to show up as they are and be who they are. Kindness and compassion above all else. That is the biggest one, right? Which is why you heard me say it's rude to just ditch somebody in the middle of a networking event. So I want to hang out with people who also share those kinds of values. I'm also looking for people who treat people with dignity and respect, treat people with kindness, are curious, want to get to know people, right? Are rejecting the status quo, are showing up and doing it their way. Those are the people I want to connect with because those are the values that I also hold. So if you think about some of the values that you hold, the values of your business, the values of yourself, how would that guide you in networking? Whether it's in person, online, in communities, who would that change who you're looking for? And how would that change the types of conversations that you have? Right? So I want to quickly check in because I was going to look at the time, but I didn't look at the time. How am I doing for time, Isabel? You need me to wrap it up?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I'm going to go into one more point then, if that's okay. So the next point is this idea of collaboration over competition. So give me some jazz hands. I always do jazz hands if we say something that resonates. If you have ever been in a situation and you see someone there or you meet someone there who does something similar to what you do, and you feel this competitiveness, or you feel well, what's the point? This person's here and clearly they're so much better than me, right? Or, oh, this is a saturated market. Why even bother saying what I have to say, right? Throw some jazz hands up if you connect with that. It's a really common experience. And I want you to remember this one line, okay? There is always more need than people serving that need. All right? People will work with you or buy from you if they know you, they like you, they trust you. And we hear this all the time. We say it all the time in business, but what does that mean? That means that people have to know you. You have to show up. You have to say hello. You have to have a presence, right? They have to like you. That's where that authenticity, ditching the status quo, radical self-acceptance, showing up as you are, that's where that comes in. So we can attract the people who resonate with that, right? And then they have to like you. Have a good time. When you are networking, it's not about just talking shop, talking business. What do you do? What do you do? Why are you here? Listen, those are important conversations, but really what people will remember is the awesome conversation you had, right? They will remember you being interesting and interested, right? And so let's drop that overly blah, blah, blah professionalism, show up to events, show up online, and just have fun conversations with people. And remember that what draws someone to you is you. And what draws someone to the person next to you who does something similar is them. I remember going to this one networking event, and there was a person who called themselves a business coach. We'll call them Banana. I'm not going to use names. We'll call them Banana. And I noticed that every time I was talking to someone, Banana would start to saddle on up with me. And the minute it came time for us to exchange business cards, they would pop in there with their business card and kind of interject and take over. And this kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And I mean, it was annoying because I'm like, dude, I'm working here. But they just kept doing it. And it gave this air of like almost desperation and insecurity, right? And I don't know if they felt a competitiveness with me or an urgency that they had to get everyone in the room. Ooh. When you start to feel those kind of feelings come up, I need you to take a breath, take a step back. Remember, people do business with you because they know you, they like you, they trust you, right? Everyone has something different to offer, whether it's in a marriage, or, friendships, business, whatever, even where we go to the gym or the type of movie we watch. There's something for everybody, and you are for somebody. And so we need to let go of this idea of competition and really think about collaboration. How am I working with the people in the same industry to elevate the industry, to elevate what we do, and to really have maximum impact on the people that we want to have an impact on? So that mindset shift is really going to help you from going, I have to do all the work, I have to get all the people, I have to do all the business. Instead of getting into this, let's work together, let's share in this giant pie that just keeps growing and really elevate all of us together at the same time. So real quick recap. Networking doesn't have to be icky if you use your values as a filter for who you connect with. Embrace that collaboration over competition and focus on turning strangers into friends. And I want you today to challenge yourself in this room or when you go out today. Think about one person that you can connect with in person, in a community, online, and reach out and say hello, not with the intention of getting a sale, but with the intention of making a friend. And that's it. Lindsay out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I love your approach to all of this, and as everyone here can see, like, you really do bring your personality forward, and I think that's so important. Like, I think people forget that sometimes, like, to be yourself and bring your personality to the forefront when you're doing this. And also to the point of, someone talking to you and no longer seeing the value in talking to you. You never know what's going to come from a conversation. So don't just quick buy if you think that there's nothing that they can help you with. Maybe also there's something you can support them with. And that's something that's going to make them even remember you even more. And so you've now helped someone else. And because it's a two-way street. It's not just what can I get from you. So love that sentiment. And I'm looking forward to kind of digging in specifically to the ick. Thank you. All right, Tia, I'd love to hear from you as well. So the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Well, Lindsay, no one has ever yelled at me, Tia, you look freaking good. I haven't got that yet, Lindsay. So I need to be in the spaces you're in, first off. Good evening or afternoon, I should say, everybody. First, I want to keep 100% real. I didn't always know about what a network really was. I didn't grow up in rooms where there were business cards or titles as CEOs or even connections. I just was. I started my first business in 2013, and I was the Black girl that was knocking on doors, cleaning. That is how I started. So I started from scratch. There was no roadmap. There's no instructions, as most of you guys probably already know in entrepreneurship. It was just pure grit, pure grit and, heart, to make me want to keep doing what I was doing to go further. So that's a little bit about me. If you want to know more, you can go to my LinkedIn page, or you can buy my book on Amazon. I can put the link in there shortly. Okay, so I had to put that there. One of the moments I realized that your network is your net worth was when I started the organization Black Women in Excellence. Prior to that, I had my cleaning company. I had Airbnb properties, a vegan lipstick line, and I was also a partner on my youngest daughter's business. She was 15 at that point, or 14 at that point, sorry. So I had to partner with her. You just made money, right? You didn't really have to do too much. You just had to understand where you're going to make the money, how much money you're collecting, and, bank it. When I started the organization, which was completely different than what I thought, again, I don't know why. I was probably a sociopath, I guess you can say, because I didn't know anything about business. Why would I know anything about a non-for-profit? Anyhow, in a non-for-profit space, it purely should be, it's not, but it purely should be what Lindsay said. It should be connections over competition. But in 2020, it sure wasn't. We were in the pivotal heartbeat of George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, and this is when I started our organization, Black Women in Excellence. So a lot of people were starting Black organizations, or non-Black organizations were coming up with Black initiatives and Black projects and Black funding and Black everything, right? And then the same with Indigenous Lives Matter. When that movement got heated and hot, same thing, they were all doing it. That's when I realized that, girl, you don't know anybody. You know how to make money, but money is not what keeps an NPO going, keeps it sustainable. So that's what I realized. I have to start hitting the ground and going to events, networking with people that I don't know. Now, as Lindsay said, because I'm going to say it too, how many of you guys, we don't do the resignation hands. Any of the Black girls on here know we tap it out. Going to networking events for the first 10 times is the most awkwardest thing ever. When you were the number one, you're the only woman, then you're the only Black woman. It was awkward, awkward, awkward. You feel uncomfortable. You start sweating. Even if you don't have a blazer on, you're sweating. Your knees are knocking. You feel sick. You feel nauseated. You're like, oh my God, I shouldn't even be here. You want to crawl into a hole or like a little cubby in that, venue. You don't want to be seen after a while. So I've been there. I've been there more times than enough. It wasn't my first time. It wasn't my second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. I've been there a lot of times, you guys. But I will say, after a while, the fear disappears. So for me, when my fear disappeared is when the shift happened. I would call it shift, a transition, a period when I realized, okay, and I talked about this not too long ago on my social media. Once I realized my unique value proposition and who I was, is when things started shifting for me. Once I realized what I brought to the table that nobody in that space could, or my competitors that could be in that space, they may be able to offer the same services, but not like Tia. That is when things started shifting for me. And I started showing up on purpose, even in spaces that I was the only Black woman. I did it on purpose because once I start doing it, more people start doing it. Then we have some Indigenous people will start following along. And then it will be, a collective of diversity. That's what I thought and I hoped. Well, we're now almost 5 years later, and I'm most likely the only Black woman in these spaces still in Atlanta, Canada. And I do show up, and I do that sometimes make people uncomfortable because I'm a little disruptor. I like to create a little bit of chaos just to find alignments, right? Just to have those uncomfortable conversations to make sure people are aligning with me and I'm aligning with them. I learned to lead, through value and vulnerability too, and not just around, oh, I'm Tia Upshaw, or it's the Tia Upshaw brand, or I'm the CEO of Black Women in Excellence. It was more around intentionality on the value and vulnerability to make sure there were alignments. And networking is, and it did become more about building relationships than a transaction. A lot of people go to networking events to get a business card, to run home, reach out, or add them on LinkedIn right at the event, and then try to proposition something. When you realize that it's more about the relationship, it doesn't have to be friendships, because I don't really make friends quickly like that. I like to call them colleagues. So I'll just say relationships. When you're able to build a nurturing, intentional, really, really, really positive friendship per se, relationship, it ends up changing. It ends up changing very, very quickly when you go to these networking events. If you get it out of your head, it's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship. And I remember going to my first networking event and not knowing anybody there. It was through Leading Ladies. If anybody has heard of Leading Ladies here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, it's put on by Men O'Reilly. And this was 2 years ago. Like the very first time I actually went to an all women's networking event. Very, very scary. I walked in there and they were posh. They were pearls type of women, right? So not only am I the only Black woman, I'm the only African Nova Scotian. I do not dress like everybody in here. I don't even own a pair of pearls. It was almost like I was what do you want to call it? Like a decoration on the cake. I just stood out like a sore friggin' thumb. And everybody kind of turned and looked at me when I walked in, not because they were in amazement of me, basically looking to see, well, did she get the wrong place? Did she walk into the wrong door? Who's this person, right? And keep in mind, that was just 2 years ago. So I already had the organization, built up businesses, very successful businesses, and still I didn't belong even in that space, right? And I'm bringing that right to not every networking event is going to be for you. You go to the ones that you can see the alignment, and you can see alignments through marketing, price points. You can really read into an event very quickly without even asking the people or the person putting it on who's going to be there. You don't even have to ask. You can look at their past events, their past social media, and you can see if this is something that you want to endure or if it's something you're just going to pass by. And I made a decision a long time ago now. I don't go to every networking event. I don't go to all of them because not all of them are going to be for me. Number one, me as an individual, as a human, I'm not going to feel comfortable. Me with the mandate, or I should say, mission, vision, and values I have, because every decision Tia makes is strategic decisions based on my mission and my vision and my values. They're not always going to be for me, and they're not always going to be for you. So you have to kind of lead your brain with the intention of what are you trying to do? How are you trying to do it? And what do you want to come out of it? Do you want to leave feeling defeated, or do you want to leave feeling a little bit more empowered than you did the last networking event? A couple of key, I guess, strategy I would say that I used was always be consistent. So if you go to one event and you're like, I can endure this, let me try it again. Keep going back to the same event. Like these event people who put these on, they usually do it monthly. You have to be consistent. And I mean showing up in the same circles regularly if those are the circles you want to be in. Keep showing up. So you don't even have to bring your card out. At some point, you don't have to bring a card no more. They're going to be like, yo, hi, Tia, how are you? How are the kids? How is business? They get to know who you are, right? Be very clear. Know how to introduce yourself, not your LinkedIn profile. You need to do a 30-seconder, a 30-second pitch on, who you are, what you do, like, in 30 seconds where people will be intrigued to hear more. They don't care that you have a cat dog and you have 10 kids at home. You're at a business networking event. It's usually around organizational structures, business, and things like that. And you can build relationships without getting too personal. So you don't want to put too much of your personal information out there. Be real. When people ask me about me, I'm like, oh, I'll give you a little bit. I usually give them 20 seconds. Sorry. Lindsay, I don't give them more than 20 because I need the other 10 seconds to ask them about them and let them know exactly why I'm talking to them. This is why I think how we can work together. And you just go into it. Big on follow-ups. LinkedIn is probably my favorite handle. I love LinkedIn. I do very well on there. And I have something called the fishbowl. Every networking event I go to, I don't take everybody's business card. I don't talk to everybody either. I work the room, I read the room, I listen as I'm walking around with my glass of water, and I listen to the conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to talk to her. Oh yeah, I gotta talk to him. I heard what he just said. And then I'll kind of go over and get into a conversation. But when I come home from a networking event, I literally have a dollar store fishbowl and I put all those business cards that I intentionally collected the night before and I marinate on it for a day or two. And then I go through. I actually got one right here from an event that I was at on Tuesday. And I kid you not, like Tuesday. And I have the email already done up for this lady because I know exactly how we can work together, but I have to do it in a certain way. So she understands that it's not just a transaction. But you can't just collect business cards, guys. That's why I'm saying fishbowl and do nothing with them. Pet peeve of mine. Why collect it and waste paper if you're not going to utilize, right? Reach out, do a coffee date, or maybe not date, sorry, different word. Do a coffee meeting. Jump on a quick discovery call, 15 minutes. It only takes 15 minutes to get to know someone to the point where you know you don't want to work with them or you don't. You don't need more than 15 minutes, right? Um, always keeping in mind that you're not going to the networking event and emailing these people to always give them a sense that you want something from them either, right? You really don't want them feeling like you're just kind of utilizing them. And to wrap it up a little bit, I would say my final pieces would be, again, your network is your net worth. I could have $0 in my bank account right now, and I would be pretty damn satisfied with my connections and my email lists. I can pretty much guarantee anybody on this call today, if they ask me, do I know someone in this sector, industry, field? Yeah, I do. And most times, 9 times out of 10, I'm able to give you that email, right? I love my network. I love what I built over the last few years. Very proud of it. And I didn't build it alone. I want to say, every program, every opportunity, like you guys are here today, you're sitting on this platform right now with one another. Everybody should be putting their social medias or their emails or their LinkedIn links up in this chat, because this is an opportunity to build your network. Every stage I've been on, every event I've been at, I've always utilized it to build, not just my brand and my name, because we love doing that, but I want to build relationships in every province I'm in every city I'm in, every rural community I'm in. I want to encourage you guys all to stop waiting to be invited and just start showing up. Show up scared, show up nervous. Do not show up with a friend, because what happens when you go with a friend, you stick to that friend all night. Don't go to a networking event if you have a goal with a friend. It's not going to work. Your story, your story proves that you don't need to know the right people. You need to become the right energy. Who you are in a space. You guys just heard from Lindsay. You can tell who she is in like 12 minutes, what she's going to bring to the table, right? I'm going to remind you guys, you don't need a million contacts either. I mean, a million won't hurt. You just need the right five. The right five contacts can open up your network very, very quickly. And the last, I would say, call to action would be for me, don't just network to be seen, you guys, network to be remembered. Always. You want them to remember who you are, what you brought to that table that night when you were speaking, and how they can connect with you. So don't do it to be seen, but to be remembered. Thank you, guys.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Tia. So many nuggets of gold there for everyone to take away. I'm even taking away some. So thank you so much
You're welcome.
for your methodology of it. I love it. All right, so attendees, pardon me. I really hope that that gave you a really great sense of both Lindsay and Tia's theology around networking, and how they both are approaching this when they're going into these events. We do have a fair few questions that we've prepared for our attendee, for everyone here. I did see some questions come into the chat, and I have made a note of them, but just a reminder, if you would like to ask our speakers a question, stick it into the Q&A box. It's a lot easier for me to be able to see the questions there, rather than because there's really great energy coming through in the chat. I'll be able to moderate the questions a little bit easier if it's in that Q&A box. So really great discussion so far around how you both are approaching this. And I've already seen some questions from people, or rather comments from people in the chat about sort of feeling nervous, or feeling not necessarily that they belong in the rooms that they are trying to enter. How would you, when we're talking about strategic networking beyond, like you said, that the traditional exchanging of business cards, what can that look like to an entrepreneur who, wants to know how they can best navigate these spaces and these rooms when they're going into these networking events? Lindsay, maybe I'll go to you first.
For sure. So I always recommend that people keep an eye out for 4 types of people when they're networking. And keeping in mind that networking doesn't just happen in networking events, right? It's anywhere you're engaging with people, period. But you want to keep an eye out for potential customers or clients. You want to recognize when you're talking to someone, oh, this is somebody who I could potentially work with, or would, be a great customer. That doesn't mean we sell. Do not sell ever, ever, ever in networking, but flag it and then think about what would be the next step. Would we hop on a call together? Would I ask if they want to learn more about what I'm doing and talk next Monday? Something like that. When it comes to the next set of people, collaborators and referral partners. So who in the room has the same audience as I do, but they do something different, and we could collaborate together or refer business to each other. The next thing is leaders of organizations or communities where you want to have a presence. So example, Isabel, right? I would love to have a presence in Startup Canada. Isabel, let's be friends, right? Let's talk. Let's explore what's there. Let's see if there's some synchronicity, right? So who are the leaders that you want to be connecting with? And then finally, biz besties, right? You need to build your own entrepreneurial village. And your biz besties will become all of the above, right? They may become clients or customers, I don't know, but but they will also become, depends on the business, but potentially, yeah. They'll also become referral partners. They'll become collaborators. They'll open doors for you. They'll make introductions for you, right? And there are the people who will grow with you and be with you through the thick and thin of it all. So 4 types of people: customers, clients, referral partners, collaborators, right? Leaders and biz besties. So anywhere where you're in a room, you want to think ahead of time, right? Where am I going? Who am I likely to find here, right? Out of these 4 people. And then go and start connecting with folks. Again, online, in person, in communities, go and start connecting and looking for those types of people. And I like to think of it as being scrappy. I shared that story about going to the Odlum Brown pitch, right? And being like, whoa, I'm a fish out of water here. Nobody wants what I'm selling, like me, the person. And I was like, no, I'm scrappy. I'll find someone here to talk to. I'll make something happen here with someone. There's always people to talk to. So really think of it as being scrappy. But I just want to really reinforce really quickly before we move on. Networking is not selling. Friends, you should never be selling when you're networking, ever, ever, ever. It's too aggressive. Slow down, right? It'll turn people right off. I want you to think, I'm just looking for people to connect with. Any sales conversations are going to happen after, when you meet one-on-one, when you talk. That's when those kinds of conversations can happen. But please take off the pressure to sell. Don't do it. It's going to just alienate everybody, okay? And just be scrappy. Go see who's in the room that you want to connect with. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah. What advice would you give entrepreneurs looking to better understand how they can navigate the room through this sort of strategic networking philosophy?
Absolutely. The first thing is, I'm going to reiterate, do not go to a networking event with your friend. You're not going to work the room. You're going to stick to that friend's hip all night long. And it's going to be it's just going to be an opportunity for you and your friend to go out and get free alcohol. You can do that somewhere else, right? Leave the friends home. When you go, have a goal while you're going. Don't just say, I'm getting dressed to go. Like, you have a goal. Could be different goals. Certain networking events I go to, or just an event. If I'm going to a conference, I know I'm not going, to do a partnership because I'm speaking at this conference. So what do you guys think that my goal is? After I come off that stage, my goal is to make the connections, but afterwards, if I want them to become clients. They just heard me speak about resiliency of being a Black woman in business, survival to CEO. If I can go from where I was at to making $1 million, anybody can do it. So I want them to be my client. I'm not going to sell them right away, but there has to be a goal, right? The third piece that is, be authentically yourself. I watch women come in so often dressed like the traditional businesswoman, type blazer, type, dress pants. They look great, but they are so uncomfortable. That is not them. Be who you are, speak how you speak. Do not try to change your lingo or terminology to fit into the crowd, because again, you want them to remember you. You don't want to blend in with everybody else. And again, when you leave that networking event, this is the fourth part. Please make sure you use the business card that you took, or the LinkedIn connection you made that night. There's no sense of being able to brag that I got 2,000 followers on LinkedIn. And if you out of the 2,000, you don't even got 5 that you can reach out to in the email and say, listen, I'm doing something, I want to collaborate. And they're like, absolutely. If you can't reach out to 5 out of the 2,000 or even over 100, your list is way too long and it doesn't mean anything. It's just a status that you're trying to use that you have so many followers. You really want to look at your network of being your net worth. Everybody wants to concentrate on financials, which are great because I know I love a good dollar. But you really need to look at the network of your network. Like it has to be a big bubble. And the sooner that we start looking at it, remember, don't say it out loud. It's not a transaction at an event. But when you start looking at your network as a monetary value in some sense, you feel more engaged and you lean more into it to make it grow. It's like a plant. You have to water the bloody plant in order for it to grow, right? Water your networks, you guys. Water them.
I love that one. And you're so right. Like it's not just a one and done connection. Like you need to nurture these things like you would any other relationship within your life. So that's incredibly important. Okay, we're getting some really great questions in the Q&A box. So I want to kind of give some attention to those. So Hardeep, proud of you, Tia, hearing about your journey. From being anxious to being a confident speaker. While starting to build a network, how do you hand any financial challenges on, sorry, did you hand any financial challenges onto your purpose to build and how did you deal with it?
I know what that question's about. Absolutely. Everything I did led with a passion, what equaled, it was a person, it was a passion that equaled to being a purpose. And I had no choice. You know, I was a single mom coming on a 20-year relationship and I was not working. I was going to food banks. I was on social assistance. And this was in 2013. This was not in 2021 or 20, what do you want to call it? 19. This was in 2013. Like this was not that long ago, you guys. And I literally had to scrap by. So everything I did, I had to. When people say bootstrap, they bootstrap their business. Well, give me a bloody boot because I didn't even have a boot. Um, Everything I did was because of that. So yes, when your back's against the wall and you have no other option but to win, you look at business and being an entrepreneur a little bit different than when you have to bootstrap because someone gave you 10,000. That's all you had to make $10,000 stretch over a year period. It's a little bit different when you don't even have that 10. So to answer your question, absolutely, it had to align. It was purely I had no choice, and I had 3 children.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much for that question, Hardeep. Another great question here. And Lindsay, I feel like maybe you might feel comfortable speaking about this. So it's anonymous attendee. They've asked, I'm neurodivergent, so I get burned out and overstimulated easily from being around people. I can absolutely relate to this as well, but especially in unpredictable situations. What are some strategies I can put in place to network, but also recover from this process? And maybe also to even to add to that, to prepare as well, because
Yeah.
I feel like you need to prepare, be there, and then recover from it.
Yeah, I'm bummed because I wanted to add on to what Tia said to that last question because
Oh,
you
please go ahead. Yeah.
can I cover real quick because Tia, same thing. I started in 2013. I was coming off a divorce. I had $40,000 in debt. I was making barely any money. My car leaked. My shoes leaked. I was in a house with like 1 million people in a little room, you know, but I never let it show, right? Everything I made went back into investing in networking events, networking communities, building these relationships, going and having meetings. And I was scrappy. I took on anything I could take to get money. I was nannying. I was like, helping friends out here and there. I think we see people when they are successful and making money and you think it just happens. It doesn't. You got to be scrappy. And when there was no TikTok when we were there. Instagram was barely a thing. So, and I will tell you that networking is the fastest way to build your business and get opportunities. It's not social media, but now there's such an onus, such a pressure to do social media. Waste of time. I'm telling you right now, waste of time. Network. Everything you have should be going into building your networks and leveraging networks and finding clients through networks. That being said, how do we deal with this neurodivergent or somebody with executive dysfunction or somebody with depression or, bipolar disorder or what, like all these different things? There's so many different mental capacity barriers to networking, and networking takes effort. It takes executive function. It takes energy, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't, right? So I think I want to kind of preface with this mindset shift first, which is, and I know people don't want to hear this. I know you don't. Building a business is hard. It takes hard work. It takes energy and effort and putting yourself out there and doing the scary thing and falling into bed at the end of the day exhausted and getting up the next day and doing it all over again. Right? And so when you think about why you're starting a business, if it's about impact, well, you can have an impact through your job, through volunteering, being a content creator. Impact is important, but it's got to be more than that, because it's got to be what's going to keep you driving in this entrepreneurial roller coaster, because the entrepreneurship itself, forget your business, sales, impact, networking, the entrepreneurial journey itself is a friggin' roller coaster. So let's just establish that right now. All right, friends, you can do it, but you have to be okay with being tired and being exhausted and working hard. I do want to say, when it comes to networking, your capacity will stretch. Right? It will stretch. During the pandemic, everybody shrunk. We were home all the time. We already were dealing with the extra stress of the pandemic and the fear and everything. But then we stopped socializing. And so we all got into our cocoons, and our endurance, our capacity shrunk, right? You can stretch that back out. So start small. And I'm going to say, different to Tia, I agree with Tia with what Tia said about don't bring a friend because all you do is talk to each other. Okay, you can bring a friend, but don't just talk to each other. I like to go to things with people sometimes. Sometimes I want to go because I want to work. I want to work that room. I don't want to have a distraction. But if you're new, bring a friend. But bring a friend, grab a drink of water, talk to each other a bit, warm up, and then separate, right? And go and divide and conquer and come back together and share your connections, right? Anyways, that's just to that point. But to this idea of capacity, start small. Go to one thing. Go to two things. Reach out to people on the DMs on social media and book a call. Like you can do a Zoom call, right? Go to one or two events, start talking to people, book those calls, right? And then as your capacity grows, you'll be able to do more and more and more. When I first started, I was doing at least 30 networking calls a week, at least. So I would go to events, reach out to people, have calls or have meetings or whatever, right? Back then we did meetings. We didn't have Zoom calls as much back then, right? Networking is everything. So I think if you can go, okay, what are the things that are pulling at my energy that, if I'm being honest, aren't really moving my business forward? Stop that so you conserve your energy. When you think about where I'm networking, be very clear and strategic, as Tia said. Who am I looking for? What's my goal? Who am I looking for? What I want to have happen, right? Talk to those people. Give yourself permission to go home when you're done. When your capacity is out, the battery is dry, give yourself permission to go home. I go home all the time. I love networking. I'm a super duper extrovert. I also get overstimulated very quickly, right? So give yourself permission to go home. The other thing is, if you're in the room and you realize this is the wrong room, give yourself permission to go home. You don't have to stay there, right? Then create buffers. So if you know you got a networking event and it's going to take energy, have a lighter work day that day. Start a little bit later the next day. All right. Make sure you have one day off that week at some point so that you can just rest and recoup and chill out. Right. So it's understanding your capacity, your needs, how you can support yourself in this, and making peace with it's going to be effort and it's going to be work, and see what else you can eliminate that's not working so that you can conserve that energy, conserve those spoons. That was a long-winded answer. There you go.
No,
Jump in
fantastic.
on that, Isabel?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I also work with the organization out of Ontario called Rise, and I'm a business advisor with them. I was on their loan review committee for years. I was a mentor with them for years. And now in this business advisory contract position, I get asked that question a lot. Exactly what Isabel just asked. A lot of the entrepreneurs, because Rise works with people who have mental health addictions and a lot of life barriers, right? And I basically say the same thing Lindsay said, and the last part of what Lindsay said, actually. If any of my colleagues are on here or my friends, I don't know if they're on here today, I can't see who's on here or not, but they know Tia leaves when Tia needs to leave. When before I started my business, I was dealing with mental health issues, along depression and anxiety. Like I was on Effexor, like I was on the highest of Effexor because I couldn't cope with life. But then I changed my life and everything became different. But anyways, I leave an event. When my social battery starts depleting, you can see it on my face. And there's no point in me staying there because I'm pulling out the energy from that room. It's not fair to everybody else, right? It looks like I don't want to be there. So I do leave. I create a lot of boundaries around me. If I go to a networking event and I have 5 people, which usually happens, lined up waiting, I can see them out of my side eyes. I'm like, oh my God, like just I want to tell them, please move, but they're just lined up waiting to talk to me. I will literally say, I'll look over and I'll say, I'll talk to one more person, but the other ones we're gonna have to do a Zoom 15-minute discovery call at a later date, because I'm just drained. The worst, I'll tell you guys, if anybody's getting into public speaking, is to be on a stage and doing a keynote for 45 minutes, thinking you can come off and sit down and breathe. OMG, never. It's another hour and a half of networking about your keynote, and it's a whole thing. So as Lindsay said, Anybody, again, if I have any colleagues or friends on here, they'll know Tia takes naps every day. Every day I take naps. If I have an event tonight, I will not work past 12. I need that time. Lindsay, you were correct. Tomorrow, because I have to get back home tonight, right? And you don't fall right to sleep after a good event. You're pumped up. You're thinking about opportunities. Tomorrow morning, I won't start until 11. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself that kindness to say that you've done enough for the week. You can't be everything for everybody, because when you start doing that, you're going to really drain yourself, and that mental capacity is going to be like depleted. And guess what happens? You can't even give your business what it deserves now. And it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the business.
Mm.
There we go.
And that's taking away from the whole point of it, is having these conversations and meeting new people. It shouldn't be taking away from your business and yourself. It should only be adding. So fantastic sentiment, and yes, to naps. I think they are fantastic.
Oh, nappy. I tell people, give yourself permissions to nap.
Yeah.
I will tell anybody knows me who knows me. Between 12 and 1:30 in Nova Scotia time zone. Startup Canada is just lucky today, because this is in my nap time.
Yeah.
You guys got me in my nap time.
Yes,
The brain reset nap is everything. Like I have, like, what, maybe even if it's just 20 minutes, I just shut the blinds in my room. I just turn everything off, and I need to reset my brain. And there's actually studies now that show about, especially for women, or I don't know, women in terms of biology. Okay. We're going to just say, all right. In terms of our hormonal makeup. Okay. That napping in the day, is actually really great for our brain and heart health.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So yeah, heck yeah.
I recommend any entrepreneur take a nap, because if you're a true entrepreneur that is almost like Lindsay, gave an example of, doing 30 networkings, working on her business, doing everything, helping friends, all these things just to build her name, build her brand, build her network, build her business. You were exhausted. And for me, yes, I do take naps every day, but my day doesn't stop at 5, like 9 to 5ers. So my nap does consistently become a thing, but I teach 4 nights a week. Like, literally teach curriculum around entrepreneurship for universities, community colleges, and whatnot. So I do have to take a break, or again, the social battery is totally drained. And here is one little thing I'll leave with you guys, even on a personal level. My fiance had a birthday Saturday. No, it's not business. He had a birthday party Saturday night, big party, DJ and everything. I had to leave one of my friends, and I went to our bedroom at 11 p.m. and I went for an hour nap. I couldn't function no more. Like, I had to disappear. So it's not just in business, it's in life. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to slide out. It's okay to slip out, to get some air, to regroup. You don't have to do what people say you're supposed to do at these events, guys.
Excellent. Love this. Thank you so much. Lindsay, you spoke, or rather, one of your sort of main focuses and what you teach, and the philosophy you teach, is sort of ick-free sales and marketing. And I think you named one ick is when someone is when the banana, the person banana.
Banana.
What are other sort of ick-free network, what does ick-free networking look like?
Yeah.
And how can practice it without feeling inauthentic to themselves?
I love that. Okay. So, I mean, so much to what Tia just said. What are you wearing? What are you saying? How are you talking? Don't be someone you're not, right? It's sort of like in dating, right? Like if you try to present yourself as somebody you're not, you're going to have to keep that up. Or when they find out the real you, what is going to happen, right? So, I want to say to all the neurodiverse folks in the room, this isn't what when we talk about things like masking, yes, there's still going to be an element of masking. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about how you show up authentically, and in your own power is going to prevent you from being in the ick. One of the worst things that you can do is go to a networking event with a fake it till you make it mindset, because then you're faking it. And people will pick up on that. And that can lead to imposter syndrome, which can lead to like a weird aggressiveness or an awkwardness. I really want you to think about, I am just looking for people that want to have a great conversation. and see what happens. And I'm going to show up as me, and I'm going to not be who I'm not. So I think so much of the ick stems from this inauthentic, faking it, bravado, kind of place. And it just is gross. Just go and try to relax and just really be yourself. But some other icks I already talked about. Do not sell. Oh my God, do not sell at networking events, right? Remember that when somebody asks you what to do, I tell people to ditch the elevator pitch because they're not giving you consent to pitch them. Talk about what you do in a way that is relevant to the person you're talking to. Who is this person? What do I want them to know? What would they care about? When people ask me what I do, it changes slightly based on who I'm talking to and what's relevant to them, right? And then leverage that to ask more questions. People always want to rush to like pitch and tell them all the little things about what they do all in one big long sentence. No, one clear, simple sentence, enough to get a conversation started. And then, right? And then the rest of that will come out in the conversation. And then, like I said, don't sell. If you see alignment, even if I'm talking to Isabel, and I forget, Isabel, how we even met the first time, but like whatever we would first meet, it's like, oh, in my brain, I'm going, there could be some fun overlap, right? I might be able to come do a workshop. We could do some fun things together. Let me message Isabel after and go, it was so great to meet you. Would love to talk about this and this. If you're up for it, let's book a call, right? So you bring that like next step stuff into the follow-up. And I know Tia might disagree with this, so I'm curious to hear your perspective, but I really like to take a slow approach to networking. I don't want to spook people. I always think about how when I was a little kid, my cousins had a farm with all these kittens, and I loved kittens as a kid. And there was this one I really wanted to play with, and it was underneath a tractor. And it was on there, and I wanted to play with it, and it wouldn't come out. So I grabbed it by its tail and I pulled it out. And I felt guilty every day of my life since then. The cat meowed. I probably heard it. It did not want to come out, and I forced it to do what I wanted it to do. It was gross. I didn't like it. And so I've learned since then, lay on the ground until it wants to come out. And if it doesn't want to come out, it doesn't want to come out. And I take that approach to everything. It is not my job to force my will on people. I just want to show up, create that space, get curious. And if I see a spark, we'll do that follow up. We'll keep that momentum going. But I'm not in that moment trying to force something, trying to sell something, and trying to like enforce my will. And I want to add one more thing. I had it and it might be gone. So the ick with networking, slow down. What did I say? Be curious, be interesting. Is there one more thing? You know what? I'm just gonna say it's more to this, and that is that everything I teach within the sales, like my ick-free sales system, is about consent, right? So this is why we want to get really good at asking good questions, because we can do this thing like, we should book a call. You should work with me. You should come to my event. No, don't should on people, right? Ask questions. Did you want me to tell you about my event? Are you looking for a networking event to attend? Are you, I'm hosting a workshop next week on building sales funnels. Do you want me to send you the link? I'd love to talk more about how we might be able to collaborate. Can I send you my link? Hey, can I have your business card? Do you want mine? Literally at every step of the way, don't force, just ask questions and bring people along that journey with you. All right. That's my Mad Lib there. That's my random answer. Does that work? Any follow-up questions as well?
Well, I just have like a follow-up point, and Tia, I'll get to you because I'm curious to hear your perspective on Lindsay's approach. But to your point about asking questions and such, and changing what you say or how you introduce yourself to depending on who you are. I always like to start off asking the person, even if they've approached me, I want to learn about them first, because it will inform how I talk to them. Even if I need to know if they're an entrepreneur or if they work within the support organization realm, we're going to have different conversations. Or if you work in a completely different sector or whatever, understanding who the person is and what they do is so important to me before I even get started on who I am to them.
1,000,000%. I always tell people, ask what they do first. But honestly, here's how I would do it. I would say, what brings you here today? Oh, what do you do? So I ask that question first. It just feels a little bit less cheesy. So what brings you here today? Or how'd you hear about this? Or whatever. It opens up the conversation a little bit broader. And then it allows me to go, oh, what is it that you do? Right. And then they'll talk a bit. I ask questions, and then the question will come back to you. And then it allows you, as you said, to formulate that response in a way that is relevant to who you're talking to.
Yeah. Yeah. Tia, your thoughts on this approach?
I somewhat agree, Lindsay. I do somewhat agree. But I have to admit, when it comes to business, I'm a shark. I go in and I have a goal and I have to hit my mandate and my quota. Like some of my businesses, it is about the quota. It's not about the impact. I create the impact of the organization, right? So it depends on, Isabel, like you said, depending on what your event you're at. I have a TV show on CTV Morning Live called Tuesdays with Tia. If anybody sees me, they are not even approaching me on an opportunity of collaboration or partnering. They want a selfie. They're just like, I want to know how you did what you did. Like it's never that type of conversation. But if I'm at an award ceremony to get an award for entrepreneurship or business, it's a different type of conversation. So all depends on what spaces I'm in, where my intent lies. But I will say where I kind of meet you halfway, Lindsay, is that, I don't sell per se. I listen. I don't listen to react. I listen to provide a solution with my response back to them. So it doesn't take long to find out why someone is at an event, what problem is existing by their body language, by them saying, oh my God, I hate these type of events. Comments like that, you can jump onto that opportunity. And I would just say, no, girl, why do you hate them type of events? Don't you love dressing up? Because like I like dressing up, and usually they'll laugh and they'd be like, oh, I just don't have the confidence. Oh, you don't have the confidence. Well, do you want to know a little bit about Tia besides what you already know? And they'll usually say, yeah. And then I'll tell them this is what I can do for you. In 90 days, this is what I can do for you. If you want to hear more, here's my card, no pressure. Hit me up later on. I use terminology that I was raised to use. I don't use terminology that's in the business dictionary. I'll say to someone, hit me up later on. Most people on this call would never say they had a networking event. I will. I go to networking events with my fake eyelashes, pink lipstick, long nails, crop tops, jeans, stiletto heels all the time. This is who I am. I'm not going to go and fake it till I make it because you can't live that lie, like Lindsay said. You're catfishing people. Stop doing that. Stop doing the catfish. Be who you are. Let them fall in love with who you are. Let them remember who you are authentically. Just be yourself. Those who love you, love you. Those who want to connect will connect. Those who don't, move on. Not all money is good money anyways.
Love that. And when you're showing up as yourself, you're gonna attract the people that you want to attract. It's yeah, Lindsay. I
Well,
see your
what Tia just I threw in the comments. Sorry, Isabel. I'm not even going to talk about what you were just talking about. I'm talking about something different. But what Tia just said about when I'm here and I'm on a stage and I'm offering advice, I think it's really important to understand the capacity you are in at this networking event. If I'm doing a keynote, my Startup Canada tour, and I'm doing a keynote and I'm on a stage and I come off stage and people are coming and talking, asking questions, I know in that moment, I'm not networking necessarily. For me, I am attending as mentor. I am going, people are now coming to me with questions and wanting advice. That's a different dynamic than when I go into, I was just at this, Her Wealth Summit. Isabel and I saw each other at this Her Wealth Summit. When I'm there, I'm looking for collaborations. I'm looking for leaders. I'm looking for potential clients, right? Like I'm going, okay, who's in this room that I want to move and shake with? So I think it's really important to understand what the capacity is. And you know what? This brings me to another ick really quickly. And that is this idea of selling from the stage. There are times when it's appropriate to sell from the stage, right? You're offering a lead magnet or you're talking. I mean, I don't generally recommend talking about what you sell from a stage ever, but there's usually an opportunity to offer a lead magnet or something that gets people into your funnels, right? But I remember going to this event and it was such a good event. It was a queer business event and it was so friggin' good. And then the final keynote speakers went into a full sales pitch of one of their offers. I know, right? And it was so uncomfortable. Everybody was like, oh, So again, understand the capacity, the purpose. Why are you there? Operate within that role, and know when you're a mentor, leader, or a subject matter expert, or you're there for yourself to develop business. Does that make sense? And do you have anything to add on to that?
Yes, you're 100% right. In reading the room, a friend of mine says the statement all the time, so I use it. You need to read a room. And most of my keynotes are around women empowerment. That's the spaces I'm in. So in order, the only reason I'll mention a book like I did here today, if you want to know more about me, go to my Amazon page, is only because it eliminates all the questions and I can't get through my presentation, right? So I guess I kind of end with that. But I will say, you know, another ick, if I can just say it, it could be a traditional ick, it could be the ick we're not talking about, we're not thinking about. My God, please bring a piece of gum or a mint. There is nothing worse than someone talking to me and I can't see beyond their breath. That is an ultimate ick. I can't even concentrate on anything else.
Yep.
Your breath.
And perfumes and lotions and colognes. No.
Oh,
God. I remember I was talking to this one person and I kept backing up because my throat, it was burning. They were wearing so much perfume and they seemed so cool. Please, friends, bring mints, drink water. I always recommend don't eat. If there's food.
For eat. Oh, did we lose Lindsay, Isabel?
Beforehand, don't eat because you're going to go into teeth. You're spitting food. Don't eat. Okay. I have like a list of like 20 do's and don'ts.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Anybody, and honestly, can I say, they are definitely like autistic coded. Like they are definitely for people who maybe miss social cues. If anybody wants that, Isabel, I'm happy to send you my list of do's and don'ts and you can email it out if you'd like.
Send over here too. It doesn't matter. I bet you there are do's and don'ts that are valid. And another one I just want to add for women. If there's alcohol there, don't drink the alcohol. I'm sorry. It's not attractive. Number one, doesn't look professional if you're getting sloshed up and you're buzzed up on wine trying to have a conversation. If I see someone in that state, I don't usually say anything to them. I usually just don't even have a conversation with them. Don't come to me buzzed up and you're like this close to me because you're drinking, right? You need that for your courage. Don't do it. Just wait until it's the right moment to come up to me. Just wait.
Yeah. Remember that, like I put this in the comments, networking, you are working. This is a work act. And so you need to, we talk about like being yourself. How do you dress? How do you talk? How do you behave? Be yourself. And if yourself is casual, that's fine, but you still need to be professional.
Girl, speak it. Yes,
right?
Lindsay.
Professional.
Don't come with the Crocs. Don't come with the leggings and tights. Don't come with your hair unkept. You can be yourself, but you still have to know the rooms you're walking into.
Yeah.
I think it was Wes Hall. He had this analogy. When he goes home to Jamaica, he's from Kingston. And Wes said, when I walk in the door in Kingston, I know who I can be. That's home. But when I walk into these doors here in Canada, I know my responsibility. I walk in with a suit and a tie. You need to know the spaces you're in, right? He's still authentically himself, but doesn't mean you can go in looking any kind of way or acting it, or it's just, there's a fine line, people.
There is. And I want to, I'm so glad you brought that up, Tia, because that's something that I sometimes feel awkward saying to people. And it's unfortunate, but we are judged on our appearance. Yeah. And so sometimes I will see people come in, they're not looking as sharp as they could look. And that is your prerogative, right? But understand that and this is so crappy, but I didn't make the rules. There will be rooms you will not be invited to if you are not looking, if you're looking to say unkempt, if you're not, and again, it's an awkward conversation, and I hate that it's a reality, but it is. And so that's when we say, like when I talk about all my money was going into where can I look sharp? Where can I have a good haircut? Where can my lipstick be, where can I make sure that I am looking sharp? Now I will tell you in Toronto, because I started my business when I lived in Toronto, it's a very different vibe than Vancouver. In Vancouver, it's very casual. I can get away with wearing jeans and a shirt, but
here too, Lindsay. Here you can wear a hoodie.
Ironed, no stains, no rips.
You can do it here too.
The lipstick, the hair, you can, so again, read the room, read the city, read the event, but please pay attention to your parents, have those mints, watch that drinking. You got to look put together. Yeah.
And I think you've both said a few times now, you want to be remembered, but you want to be remembered for the right things. You don't want to be remembered for this in terms of like, well, I don't think I'll be connecting with that person, or I won't be taking that any further. So they're honestly, they're obvious things when you know it, but if you aren't aware of it, I think it's so important to talk about. I will say my own sort of don't in networking, or rather a do. It's a do slash don't. Be aware of your speaking volume when you're talking to someone. When you're in a busy room, it's loud. The event that Lindsay and I were both at on Saturday, there was music playing, great music. But I found myself sort of having to put my ear in the direction of some people's mouths, which, you know, doesn't feel, doesn't feel great. So even just being aware of like the surrounding noise that you're in, adjust your volume levels, or saying, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Maybe we should go out to this space.
Mhm.
You know, just again, that's a very small thing, but I wanna listen to you. I want to be able to talk to you and hear you, and I can't do that if I can't hear you.
Lindsay, it's not small. It's not small.
Yeah.
I say this to adults, like I work with, women across Canada. If you're black or brown, I know you know who I am because I work with you. I have to say to grown women, there's an indoor voice and there's an outdoor voice.
Mm.
Why are we in a networking event and you're being loud? Like there's a fine line on that too, being who you are, how you speak. I don't change my terminology, but I do change my tone. Like, my God, I'm not going to be in there screaming, right? There's a time for place for everything. And so it's not small. It's about watching your tone, your range. You don't want to be trying to talk over a speaker because guess what happens? Your voice will be gone by morning. I've done it before, trying to speak at an awards event for African Nova Scotian Affairs. It's one of them's coming up again in a few weeks. Don't try to do it. Just say, can we go into the hall and speak right quick? And then come back and enjoy the event, right? It's facts.
I just thought of something else. Okay. So yes to that. And like 100%. And also, yeah, the yelling to you, the way that sometimes people will be so loud and I'm dying inside because I'm looking
Oh
at people.
my.
Right. Also, if there's a speaker speaking and you're in a room and should be quiet, be quiet. If you want to talk, leave the room. Because again, you don't want to be remembered for the rude
Lindsay,
person.
I love you. You need to come over here and let people know.
It's also really hard. Like sometimes I'll be in a small room and people will be talking while I'm presenting and I'm not, it's hard for me. I've got a lot that I'm, facilitating and juggling and oh my gosh. But I do want to say to the point about if it's too loud, friends, that is a great reason to go, let's exchange cards. I want to keep this conversation going. I can't hear you. Let's talk on Monday, right? But to your point about let's go in the other room, I'm going to give you a little event hack, okay? Sometimes you go to an event because you want to hear the speaker, right? Sometimes you're going to the event because you want to network. If you're there to network, don't sit in a chair in a room. Go into the lobby, right? We know. Go into the lobby, talk to people, right? You want to watch, but understand if I'm there to network, you're very rarely going to see me sat down in a seat listening to the speaker because I can't do anything unless I want to hear that speaker. Like I was really excited to hear Michelle Rono on Saturday. I was really looking forward to hearing her talk, hearing her story. So unless I want to be there, I'm gonna be networking. I'm gonna be out in the lobby networking with people. Yeah.
Okay. So we have, let me see, got about just over 10 minutes left. There is one specific question that I wanted to ask, and it came from an attendee who asked a question. Let me see. So Enrique had asked a question about revolving around being a newcomer who doesn't have fluency in English and how to overcome the perception of what are you doing here? And Lindsay very kindly answered their question in the chat. But I think that's a great question to ask for anyone who feels like that. And Tia, you work a lot with supporting Black women, and you said you've kind of broaden that now to supporting Black and brown women. Are there any specific strategies to help anyone who is facing these like systemic barriers or these preconceived notions?
The first thing I tell them is start showing up, that you cannot avoid it if you're trying to better it. You can't keep saying it's not for me, or I can't understand, they can't understand me. 9 times out of 10, all the immigrant women I work with, even if they're not brown or Black, they're women from the African diaspora. They are immigrant women and they have a really heavy accent, and it's okay. I've actually had some of them because I've done this. So my name is not Tia, it is Shantia. I dumbed down my name because white counterparts could never say Shantia. They were calling me Shania, Shanita, all these things. So I'm like, just call me Tia. That was 10 years ago. A lot of our African diaspora women are coming here, and Indian women are coming here and changing their name. They're changing it to make it more, white centered or colonialized, so it's easier for our tongues. So I've started telling women, make me say your name. If you're gonna make me say Tia, that's not how you say it. Don't say, oh, that's okay, Tia. So, you show up in these spaces and obviously you have to work on your English barrier and whatnot, but we have to too also. We have to work on wanting to understand what you're saying. If you want to understand somebody, you're going to understand them, you're going to work towards it. And if you're going in spaces that we know they exist, I'm a Black woman, even though I'm fair skinned, I got blonde hair and green eyes, there are certain spaces that will never welcome me in. Literally. So we know that there are spaces that are going to be discriminatory against you coming in because you are an immigrant. Don't go to those spaces. Find your tribe, build in spaces that you know that you're going to thrive in, and on the back end start working on your English as a second language, but don't shrink who you are. Don't change your name to make people be comfortable. We, as a Canadian society, we have to start looking to understand also. And I'm going to stand on that 10 toes down, because I've seen it happen time and time again, where I've seen people who are immigrant at events, and they will stick together because they're not comfortable coming, forth with a bigger collective, which is totally fine. But then what happens is it gives a perception, because you're not comfortable. We don't really know you're not comfortable, but it gives a perception of, but to us who are there, you don't want to interact with us. So the next time we see you, we're not going to approach, right? So we have to really, I think it has to be worked on both parts. But again, you do need to show up. I started showing up as a Black woman in spaces in 2020. And probably I got 32 awards in the last 3 years, or the 32 awards, I will say 19 of them, I've been the only Black woman in history to get them. And this is 2025. So I'm usually the only Black woman in these spaces and getting these awards. I'm on this new committee in Nova Scotia here, and it's from Senator Tony Ince asked me to be on it. I was really excited, and this morning I seen who's on the advisory council, and I'm like, again, I'm the only Black woman. So I know what you're thinking and you're feeling as an immigrant. I'm not immigrant. No, my fiance is though. I'm not immigrant, but I know what it's like to not fit in. But I still take up space. I still show up and let them know, like, I'm not going anywhere. And eventually, those who love you and want to work with you, they will start reaching out to you. So I hope I make you feel a little bit better today on that, because we have a lot of work that needs to be done in the Canadian ecosystem of entrepreneurship. And if I could do anything to support you in that journey, reach out to me, because I am all about this.
Love that, Tia. Thank you so much. And Lindsay, I know you have thoughts on this as well, because the way you put it is misfit entrepreneurs, and I think I love the way that you talk about that. But what's advice and strategies that you would
Yeah.
give to?
I love that. And so I've done a lot of work with organizations that support newcomers coming into Canada with businesses. And I noticed that the first sort of hurdle that they often have to overcome is the language barrier, and not being fluent in English and having an accent, their own accent. And I just want to kind of reiterate that if you are from any level of city that has any level of diversity, everyone's used to accents. And so I think that, I'm not talking about like small little towns that are mostly white, and you know what I mean? Like sort of whatever, but like, we're used to different accents. And so I think that that's the first thing, of just letting that go. If you can start to let that go, that people won't listen or won't understand or won't respect. Now, obviously there's always going to be butt faces that are going to be discriminatory, as Tia said, right? And I also agree, if a space is not welcoming to you, don't go there. Okay. But just start to work on that. I do agree. Work on your English skills, like work on that stuff, but just understand that, that's normal. Canada's a melting pot. It's normal, right? The other thing, oh shoot, I had a point and it left me. Give me just a quick second to pull it back. I was with the misfits. So I don't know anyone that's not a misfit. I don't know anyone that doesn't feel like they don't fit in some capacity, right? I am queer, right? And so I can feel awkward in very cis het spaces, right? I am a person in a bigger body, and I do a lot of things like athletics and sports or just different things where I'm often, well, actually, even in business, I'm often one, if not only, of a few people in bigger bodies, right? And so can be awkwardness at sitting in chairs or maneuvering around, right? Or I can get a lot of looks like, why are you here, right? And so I think that's just honestly a part of the human condition. I think it's a part of building our own self-confidence, self-worth, security in ourselves, and that piece of that about that radical self-acceptance. I don't know anyone that doesn't feel like a misfit in some way in their life. And so I think just understanding that's normal. And you have to decide if you are going to let your own brain bully you out of spaces, or if you're going to show up. And like Tia said, just show up. Because if somebody wants to make you feel a certain way about who you are, that's about them and their own insecurity, maybe their own self-hatred, right? That's about them. And I know it's easy to say because it can hit in us and it can hit that insecurity and make us feel small and make us feel bad about ourselves. We have to begin to detach our worth from other people's worth and understand the difference between when they're projecting their own insecurities onto us and start to detach from that and work on our own self-confidence and self-worth. And again, be scrappy, be stubborn. I'm not going to do something. No, I'm not going to not do something because I'm worried about how somebody else's childhood trauma might make them project onto me. Like life is too damn short, guys. You can't do it. You got to live your life for you. So that would be my advice. It's less technical and more internal around that one.
No, I love what you've both said, and how I approach it as well sometimes, or how I used to, and now I do feel confident going into an event like the event that I saw Lindsay at a couple of days ago. I went in thinking I don't know anyone here, but I'll be fine. And then I saw Lindsay, I was like, oh, that's so nice to know someone. And then Lindsay ended up introducing me to a couple of people. But when I first started going to networking events like 5, 6 years ago, I was nervous and I was new to the city. I'm not from Vancouver. So I just decided to name it. So if I was talking to someone, I'm like, oh, I'm new here, or I haven't really been going to events, so like I get kind of nervous or I get a little bit awkward meeting new people, I'll just go ahead and name it, because then it's just like it's out there and it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, and I'm kind of humanizing myself a little bit more to these people. And also, if I have someone say that to me, and now I'm like, oh great, okay, well, I know this person, do you want me to introduce you to them? Or it kind of breaks down that little that wall or that guard a little bit. And maybe some people will find that too vulnerable, but it made me feel more comfortable and confident in those scenarios.
For me, I hate when people ask me to introduce someone to someone. I'm just like, man, oh man, like I'm not here to play the connector field. Like, I mean, I just enjoy the night. And it all depends on what spaces I'm in. So I can appreciate that from you, Lindsay, that you are that person that you don't mind it. And another thing I want to mention too, before we hit our time, that, I'm going to say it again, show up uneducated, show up not feeling worthy, show up scared, show up. And that doesn't just mean based on your culture, your gender, or anything like that. That just means showing up and being uncomfortable. And what I do now, because when I go to networking events here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, everybody knows me, so I don't even have to do anything. And then it gets to be like, did I just waste all this hair and makeup and not to put no work in tonight? I don't even like them no more. Honestly, I don't even like them events no more, because I feel like I'm not growing. I don't feel like I'm expanding my network. Like everybody knows me. So when I'm away at speaking engagements, like I'm going to PEI in a few weeks to speak at a women conference, already have my list that I found on Eventbrite. What events are happening in the business landscape in Charlottetown on that weekend I'm going to be there. I do it in Vancouver. I do it in Toronto. I do it anytime I'm traveling. I show up not knowing a damn person so I can expand my network.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I was like, do you know what that's off? You're like, did I just waste this outfit? Did I just waste this? I am done up. I am not wasting this outfit. Work the room.
my hair. Look, it takes a lot of work, like the makeup, the earrings. Like I just wasted, and especially when you buy a new blazer and then you wore it and people are taking pictures, but you walked away not feeling like you accomplished anything. And you're like, can I get those pictures back? Don't post them, please, because I need to wear that blazer to another networking event. It is a whole thing. When you have a brand, Lindsay, you know, when you have a brand on who you are and you spent years of creating this brand, you take it serious.
Yeah.
You really do take it serious.
That reminded me, I'm going to share just a really quick anecdote that totally reminded me. And also, this is why I wear a lot. Well, not why. I love wearing black. And the benefit of that is that you take all the pictures you want. I'm usually wearing the same, color scheme. Anyway, early in my business, I had agreed to be a keynote for this event. And was very excited to do it. I was new in my business and just couldn't wait to get on stages and talk about what I want to talk about. And was at this event and the hosts themselves wasn't even there. And now it's, 30 minutes till I'm supposed to talk. And now I'm supposed to talk. And now it's 30 minutes after I'm supposed to talk. And the host is still not there. People are wondering where they are, what's going on. I heard that they were getting changed in their car in the parking lot because just things were falling apart. And I actually left. I actually messaged and said, I'm so sorry, I have another commitment. I have to go. I'm sorry this didn't work out, because it was now an hour and a half past when I was supposed to go on stage. In my brain was like, to your point of having a brand to protect, there's no way I want my picture and this going out and this associated with my
girl. It's so
even
bad, Lindsay. I just trademarked my name.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. Like literally, no.
It's protect your brain, protect your brand, friends.
Yeah.
Love that. And I think we'll leave everyone there. I put a quick feedback poll up here just so I can get a sense of how you enjoyed this. But wow, Tia, Lindsay, thank you so much. That
You're welcome.
was invigorating. And learned a lot. So, and I have seen some really great comments from everyone in the chat as well. So thank you so much. For bringing your energy, for showing up the way you did today, for all of the incredible knowledge sharing that you've provided. Really, really do appreciate it so much. Thank you again to our partners, Pizza Hut and EcoSize, for their generous support with this program and their commitment with supporting equity deserving entrepreneurs. Final piece, we are hosting our fourth and final webinar of this year's program on November 25th, which is about navigating the support ecosystem, resources for equity seeking entrepreneurs in Canada. And we'll share that link in the chat just now. I'm going to leave the room open a little bit longer so everyone has time to complete the feedback poll. But Tia and Lindsay, thank you so much. I'll let you say your goodbyes. Yeah.
I have another call to go to, but I want to say I really enjoyed this. And the last time I spoke to Startup Canada was a few years ago, and I felt when you reached out to me that I gotten too busy to do these things. But I absolutely enjoyed talking to Lindsay. I really felt like I've known her for a long time, and I just met her today. So thank you, Startup Canada. Thank you, Pizza Hut, for the EcoSize program, because if these programs didn't exist, I wouldn't have met Lindsay. I wouldn't have been on this platform being able to educate, inspire, and empower other entrepreneurs to keep on keeping on. So thank you.
Thank you, Tia.
I love that. And yes, same thing. Thank you, Isabel, so much. As always, I love hanging out with the Startup Canada crew. I love hanging with you. Thank you very much to Pizza Hut for sponsoring this. Friends, thank you so much for showing up today, for being here. Networking can be a tricky topic. People can feel very uncomfortable with networking, but truly, if you can remember, networking is turning strangers into friends and nurturing those friendships over time. Don't look for a dollar sign, all right? Look for a new friend and just get out there, be interesting, be interested, and have fun, and leverage the power of networks to build your business faster, easier, and a lot more funner. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye.